Hi everyone, and welcome to the Wandering Poet Cafe, where we do poetry readings and lessons. Today we have a lesson for you about a poetry form called the villanelle. We have just posted readings of Dylan Thomas's Did Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night and Theodore Roethke's The Waking on the channel if you want to check those out in the card in the upper corner there. And this lesson is going to focus on The Waking by Theodore Roethke. So let me start out by reading the poem for you here. The Waking. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. I feel my fate in what I cannot fear. I learn by going where I have to go. We think by feeling, what is there to know? I hear my being dance from ear to ear. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. Of those so close beside me, which are you? God bless the ground, I shall walk softly there, and learn by going where I have to go. Light takes the tree, but who can tell us how? The lowly worm climbs up a winding stair. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. Great nature has another thing to do to you and me, so take the lively air, and, lovely, learn by going where to go. This shaking keeps me steady, I should know. What falls away is always and is near. I wake to sleep and take my waking slow. I learn by going where I have to go. All right, so just by listening, you can already pick up on some of the formal patterns in this structure of poem. So let's get into it with the next slide here. First of all, the villanelle is derived from an Italian word villano that means peasant. So this is a poetry form from Italy. In fact, it is a dance song coupled with pastoral themes. In literature, it's defined as a poetic device which requires a poem to have 19 lines and a fixed form. It has 5 tercets, which are 3-line stanzas. That's the first 15 lines. And then the final stanza is a quatrain, which means 4 lines. And the final 2 lines are a couplet that end the quatrain and end the poem. Poets have used villanelles for a variety of subjects, but all good villanelles have 2 things in common. First, villanelles have strong opening tercets, and the first and third lines are going to provide the 2-barreled refrain that recurs again and again throughout the poem in each stanza, and then becomes the final couplet at the end. A villanelle also gradually builds in tone and intensity from one stanza to the next. So the 3 major characteristics: number 1, there's no well-organized meter. In other words, there's not a set rhythm, but there is a set rhyme scheme. And the rhyme scheme is the sound of the final syllable of each line and the way they rhyme with the final syllables of all the other lines. Okay, so number 2, there's no fixed number of syllables. That's back to the meter. And 3, the refraining pattern of a typical villanelle is arranged as shown below. So let's get into the refrain pattern. In the first couplet, you've got the refrain. The first refrain begins as the opening line of the poem, and the second refrain is the third line to finish off that first stanza. And then the first refrain is going to be the final line of stanza 2, the second refrain, the final line of stanza 3, back to the first refrain in stanza 4, the second refrain to end stanza 5, and then the 2 refrains, 1 and 2, are the ending couplet of the poem. And if you look at the rhyme scheme, okay, in this case, the letters A and B denote 2 rhyming sounds. So A indicates refrain, and the numerals 1 and 2 denote refrain 1 and refrain 2 respectively. So it's a very cyclical pattern. You've got ABA, 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 and then ABAA, as far as the rhyme scheme is concerned. Okay, so moving on from there, then let's take a look at what this circular pattern can help to support in terms of themes of a villanelle. So the rhetorical device we're going to look at here is paradox, and I've got a paragraph here from Susan Pincus from Explicator in the summer of 1992 Literary Analysis Journal on Roethke's The Waking. Quote, "The meaning of the key lines of the poem adds definition to the sense created by the poem's form. Waking to sleep and learning by going where you have to go are both paradoxes. A paradox is a statement containing 2 diametrically opposite ideas, such as sleeping and waking, that ultimately join together in one meaning. The effect is circular, like traveling east as far as you can go to reach the west. Because the poem is built on a series of paradoxes, the meaning of the poem becomes as circular as its sound pattern. The effect of a circular form and a circular content adds to the mystical nature of the poem. The circle is the ultimate mystery of our lives. As the poem develops, however, the meaning of the paradoxes becomes clear. And if you look at probably the most famous villanelle ever, which is "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night" by Dylan Thomas, you will see a very similar situation occurring where the two refrains create this cyclical pattern of meaning. In that case, it's about, old age, burning and raving at the close of day. So now here is the prompt for this lesson: paradox and reconciliation in Threthke's The Waking. Directions: identify as many paradoxes as you can in this poem. What makes them a paradox? Then answer the question: how does the circular villanelle form promote the exploration of paradoxes? How does the author join his opposite ideas to create one meaning? In other words, how does the meaning of the paradoxes become clearer as the poem progresses? Cite specific lines from the text in your explanation. Okay, so that is the lesson on villanelles. I will say this is probably best geared to undergrad students, maybe juniors, seniors in high school. Any students younger than that are going to really struggle with this because, paradox is a difficult concept to understand, especially for young teenagers. But for undergrad or possibly seniors in high school, maybe juniors, this is a really interesting lesson to explore that rhetorical device of paradox and connect it to a poetry form that really lends itself well to that circular nature. Okay, so this has been Villanelles on the Wandering Poet Cafe. We've also got lessons on imagism, epic poetry, and we're going to continue to be adding more lessons and more poetry readings as we go. So if you enjoyed that, consider giving a subscribe and a like so you can keep up with new videos as they come out every week. And we will see you next time.